All right, so today we're going to be talking about this publication that shall not be named, and I also have archived it because let's not give them any more advertising revenue. We're going to be reading an article called Humans Are a Mistake, Why More Young Women Are Getting Sterilized. Rachel Diamond looks like most of the moms at the Park Slope Cafe where we meet. Meet? She's wearing a green t-shirt under a black corduroy jumper, sensible shoes, and carries a smart leather bag. She sips a $4 iced chai. Except the 31-year-old isn't a mom, and she never will be. All right. You know, Diamond says cheerily, I never expected to be the poster child of sterilization. I'm 2 paragraphs into this post, and it reads like satire already, but let's keep going. On the aspiring actor's TikTok, come on. One finds short, funny videos about Diamond's job working the register at a cafe near Union Square and updates on a rescue pit bull. Oh my goodness. It reads like an absolute joke to begin with. So, this post is talking about women that have decided to be child-free, voluntarily, of course, or involuntarily. As we may find out. And this isn't a rare phenomenon. There's a complete subreddit that I have in my travels have had the displeasure of visiting called Child Free, where people talk about how sweet they are for not having kids and how much money they've saved, etc. And it's always been interesting to me because I thought that people that don't want to have kids / don't have kids, or never want to have kids, are a bit self-loathing. We'll put it that way. They don't really like themselves. And it becomes evident in reading this article that this is kind of right up the alley of the multiple women it talks about. But anyway, it talks about her 64,000 followers and how she had her fallopian tubes cut. Not tied, cut. She always assumed she'd have a family of her own. Her political awakening away from her conservative roots and towards progressivism. Well, I couldn't have told you that from this article, reading the first 2 paragraphs. And a therapist who she found online a few months after graduation who made her realize that being spanked as a child was deeply traumatic and that it made her fear authority figures like her father. She decided that she never wanted to be one herself. Never, ever, ever. It's the therapist and psychologist world seems to encourage victimhood like no other division of healthcare, or I've just never understood it. Being spanked as a child was deeply traumatic. Oh boy. Let's continue. Looking back, I never pretended that my American Girl dolls were children. They were always my sisters, she says. There were little things showing that I wasn't preparing myself for motherhood. I think for me, it's as innate as saying I've always wanted to be a mom. I feel like this woman is digging deep and coming up with conclusions that cost her at least $75, if not $100 an hour, sitting on a plush psychologist's couch. Just a hunch. Diamond is hardly an outlier. Americans are making fewer babies than we've made since we started keeping track in the 1930s, and some women, like Diamond, are not just putting off pregnancy, but eliminating the possibility of it altogether. All right. It's good that we are dying as a culture and society. Let's keep going. Last year, the number of deaths exceeded that of births in 25 states, up from 5 the year before. Oh, Interesting. The marriage rate is also at an all-time low at 6.5 marriages per 1,000 people. Millennials are the first generation where a majority are unmarried, about 56%, and they are also more likely to live with their own parents, according to Pew. I don't know what Pew is. Than previous generations were in their 20s and 30s. And there is a hilarious meme right here of our subject. They also aren't having sex. The number of young men ages 18 to 30 who admit they haven't had no sex in the past year tripled between 2008 and 2018. I wonder if the upper percentages of men are having more sex, though, and what the numbers are for females, because this article conveniently leaves that number out. It used to be that people wanted to make babies, women especially, but also men. Yeah, well, that is kind of the natural tendency of humanity, is to propagate and to continue. That was a healthy young person's default position. Yes, you're correct. And our existence depended on it. Also correct. We wanted to do other things, of course, and the great post-feminist challenge was how to have it all: the proper work-life balance, the career and the baby, the supportive husband, and the adventurous life. I'm going to pause it there for a sec. You can't have it all. You only have 24 hours in the day. You got to prioritize. You got to realize that it is not really possible to have, 6 kids and have a 80-hour a week job and to have responsibilities to a company and that's why a lot of women and men now in 2021, we can say that, men too, they are leaving the workplace in droves. 2021 was one of the biggest years for exoduses from the workplace. But now for an increasing number, the question isn't how to have it all, it's why do it at all? Well, I mean, yeah, but I think we're prioritizing the wrong things, but that's just my opinion. This psychological reversal didn't just happen. It took place inside the hurricane of spiritual, cultural, and environmental forces swirling around us. It's almost like we were persuaded against it. But the message from this young cohort is clear. Life is already exhausting enough, and the world is broken and burning. Who would want to bring new, innocent life into a criminally unequal society situated on a planet with catastrophically rising sea levels? This article is more and more satirical as we continue. The rapture, the end. Oh yes, we can't use a Bible term. We have to use the end here. Is upon us, and this is no time for onesies. What? So says the New Yorker and NPR and AOC. Yes, these are parties we should be listening to. According to a new poll, 39% of Gen Zers are hesitant to procreate for fear of the climate apocalypse. A nationally representative study of adults in Michigan found that over a quarter of adults there are child-free by choice. I wonder what the obesity rate is in Michigan. Obesity rate, Michigan. 3 out of every 10 adults. That's actually not that bad. All right, well, let's continue. And new research by the Institute of Family Studies found that the desire to have a child among adults decreased by 17% since the onset of the pandemic. Okay. This goes on to say that at the age of 21, was told by her doctor she needed written consent from her male partner or to have already had 2 kids. I think it's morally wrong to bring a child into the world, said Isabel, 28, a self-proclaimed anti-natalist. There's terms for this now. Anti-natalist who lives in southwestern Texas and did not want her last name in print. No matter how good someone has it, they will suffer. Pause here for a second. Yes, life involves suffering. It is what it is. Life is about the ups and downs of being a human and going through life. You know, the pains, the triumphs, the happiness, the sadness. Yeah, that's what life is about. But I guess we want to completely avoid the living part. Is what this article is getting at. Texas's new highly restrictive abortion law has led her to take action sooner instead of later. I was going to wait until I was 30 to get the procedure done, Isabel wrote, but with the heartbeat bill in place, I can't take the risk of getting pregnant and not being able to abort. Interesting. Are we using abortion as birth control? Interesting. Last week, she was approved for the operation, aka laparoscopic bilateral salpingectomy. I probably said that wrong. Many surgeons won't sterilize young childless women because studies indicate high rates of regret, so it can take time to lock one down. Again, this is a joke, right? Of course people are going to regret not having children. It's what the natural tendency of humanity is to do. And when you hit 40 as a woman and not have any children, shit. When you hit 40 as a man and not have children, you probably are looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, maybe I was lied to. Isabel is planning a sterilization celebration. Say that 10 times fast. At a local sushi joint, there will be lots of booze, a smattering of friends, and her brother and her husband, who are also child-free. Oh, her brother and his husband, who are also child-free. Okay, well, yes. I don't want to work my life away, says Isabel, who hopes to retire in her 50s or earlier. Darlene Nickel has had her tubes removed 8 months ago. My generation is very aware of the ways that our parents traumatized us. My mom smoked a lot of weed and did her own thing, and my dad was always away a lot for work. So if you're going to have children, just learn from the mistakes of your parents, though. Like, just instead of let's completely make it so I can never have children, what if we learn from the mistakes of our parents? And also, I mean, our parents they don't owe us anything. They brought us into this world, but yet everything's bad because we were brought into this world. She says her parents' marriage improved after they became empty nesters. She first set out to get sterilized at the age of 20. 21 is very young to get sterilized. I'm just going to say it right now. 21. You don't think you might regret that in the future? And was told by her doctor that she needed written consent from her male partner or to have already had 2 kids. No. Her childless male friend from high school had successfully gotten his vasectomy a year before. That felt like an attack on me. Yes, everything is an attack on you. Because doctors don't want you to regret having a irreversible procedure, whereas a vasectomy is, in some cases, reversible. Darlene, who was surprised that her obstetrician agreed to sterilize her when she brought it up at her yearly checkup. Anyway, this article goes on to just talk about a couple other women that have had this procedure done, and it's kind of sad. I'm not going to lie to you. Reading an article like this where people are so obviously led astray because they want to have unending pleasure in this life as opposed to responsibility. I think that is truly where this article is going. And we come to realize that life is not about, it's not about just pleasure seeking. Responsibility does lead to a happier and better life. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. Here we go. Rachel Diamond's live-in boyfriend introduced her to Reddit and her new family of people dead set against creating families. Did I not mention a subreddit at the beginning of this video? I asked to get a vasectomy at 24 and 26, who is hopeful for any type of male contraceptive, one injectable called We're going to pause here for a second. These male contraceptives, they'd make your testosterone nearly zero. They take it down from a, well, in this case, probably high of about 300 down to nearly zero. You become essentially a hermaphrodite with these male contraceptives. There's a reason that contraceptives in general are probably not the best thing in the world, and for women too. Screwing with your hormones is it's not a joke. We'd been trying for a long time, and that's to get sterilized, not to have children. They met on eHarmony 7 years ago. Came out to each other on their second date. Well, they're perfect for each other. I'm just reading this. Interstellar was a good movie, though. But they are digging quite deep here for relevance for this article. Anyway. Child freedom. Are child free and not antinatalist in that they don't think it's necessarily wrong for other people to procreate. Well, no, it's not wrong for people to procreate. In general, it's probably a good idea. Comes with its own lingo. Oh, no. All right. All right. Kids kind of gross her out. Brant means breeder rant, as in the annoying things people with kids tell people without kids about how great life is with kids. Mombi is a haggard mom zombie lost to the land of breast milk and what are binky? I don't know. Thinker is an acronym standing for 2 healthy incomes, no kids, early retirement. Yes, until the hyperinflation takes away the value of that income. Bingoing refers to the questions the child free get asked by the child full. What if your kid cures cancer? What if you regret it? Who will take care of you when you're older? The dating apps have taken note. On Hinge, for example, under the My Vitals section, there's also vices, like if you take drugs, and virtues for religious and political affiliations. You can tick off whether you want children, if you don't want them, or if you're open to it. If you're child-free, you can eliminate future breeders from your feed using a premium plan starting at $29.99 per month. Yes. Yes. Capitalism. The child-free have many reasons for not wanting babies. Fear of pregnancy, fear of authority, fear of preeclampsia. I'm watching ER actually right now, and there is a couple episodes about preeclampsia. Scary stuff. It is scary stuff, I'm not going to lie. A pregnancy disorder that can lead to undesirable outcomes for the mother and the baby. Fear of postpartum depression. And in racism, diamond is white. Gilks is black, and they say they worry about what life would be like for a biracial baby in today's America. Well, I mean, they'd probably fit in both places, or not. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I wouldn't be able to say I understand if they came home from school and had been bullied for their hair or their skin color, Diamond said. Fair enough. I had a girlfriend break up with me because she didn't want to deal with the racism that came with dating a black guy and said if we had kids, she wouldn't know how to do black girl hair. This article, it's honestly like, it's reaching for straws. Ask them if they ever thought about their own personal legacy, the people they would leave behind. The whole legacy thing makes me laugh. It's like, who do you think you are? Do you want your kid to be a founding father? That would make them a call. Oh my God. Sophia, 19-year-old communication student who goes to it's a good degree, small school in British Columbia. Canada. And declined to give her last name for privacy reasons, was just approved for sterilization by her doctor yes, all right. She told me she has a great relationship with her parents who are super chill about her decision to be child-free despite the fact that they're both religious Christians. I don't think that that's probably true, but I could be wrong. She has one sister who she says is pro-kid, or at least not anti. And though Sophia doesn't believe in God anymore, she's left behind the church she grew up in and its toxic culture. She describes herself as vaguely spiritual. Okay. She says taking the pill or using another non-permanent birth control would amount to kicking the can down the road, since she knows she doesn't want to have kids ever. At 19 years old. At 19 years old, I didn't know a lot of things. I still don't know a lot of things, but at 19, I did know a lot of things. But all power to her. I'm going to do this invasive thing once, rest for a few days, and never think about it again. Fair enough. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I clicked on a picture. That's not what I meant to do. The teen, who has a roommate named Emily and a part-time job at a grocery store, doesn't have a picture of her life besides traveling and maybe moving to the coast away from the semi-desert grasslands where she lives now. What? In BC? What? BC is very mountainous. There's a lot of trees. It's on the coast too, depending on where you are in BC. Interesting. In high school, she visited Ecuador and Kenya on humanitarian trips and has dreams to hit every continent. She was surprised that the doctor, who will sterilize her in the coming months, didn't ask about her sexual history. If she did, he would have found out that it amounts to little more than flirting and a few dates. I'm a virgin, and I was worried that she would send me off to have sex before she agreed to do it. Sophia says she acknowledged that she may come down with a case of baby fever in her 20s, but that's just another risk that she's accepting. There's no point regretting what you can't change, she said. Well, in the first place, you can not do it so you don't regret it. If she were to eventually find a partner who wanted kids, that would just be a deal breaker for me. She doesn't remember one moment that turned her off permanently to parenthood, not childhood, but she never really liked being around other kids when she was one and hated babysitting when she got older. I found it draining. Those are other people's kids, not your own kids. Chelsea, 25-year-old Sacramento, told me kids kind of gross her out. She's weighing the risks of going under the knife like infection or mood swings brought on by anesthesia, but says regret isn't one of them. What's there to regret? That I'll be too happy, too free? The issue with this subreddit, too, is if you go to it and read some of it, I'm not going to go to it, but a lot of it is circle jerking, and obviously there's no outside opinions, so when you live in a bubble, you get the bubble's opinion, and as such, you're making a good decision if you are part of the subreddit. If you only read the subreddit, of course. Don't read the subreddits that are about having children or parenthood, etc., because that would clash with your worldview. Don't do that. Don't do that, right? According to Clay Routledge, an existential psychologist who has studied young people's attitudes toward the future, there is a growing school of thought among 20-somethings that humans are the problem. Well, I mean, yeah, if we didn't exist, we wouldn't have problems. I will say that. It's not just that we've built factories and polluted the oceans and launched tons of garbage into space. It's that there's something about us, our psychology, our chromosomal wiring that makes it impossible for us to make things better. They're saying that the future isn't a good investment, and if there's no future, why would you be anything but hedonistic? I think that has come to the core of this entire article, is that a lot of people chase hedonistic virtue. And I know that's an oxymoron because, yes, I don't need to explain it. But a lot of the problem of our modern world in which we're talking about here has to do with that hedonistic push. We don't know God anymore. We don't know depth anymore. We just look for shallow experience, and we kind of chase the next shiny and best thing. And we continually do that, and we wonder why it doesn't make us happy. But I mean, cutting your vas deferens and removing your fallopian tubes, that should make you happy. Why would you donate to charities? Why would you try to make the world better or care about human progress? He adds that this generation has a sense that humans were a mistake. Sophie Lewis, a British feminist scholar, calls the institution of the family a microfactory of debtors and argues that it generally sucks. Not genetically sucks. These people are so self-loathing. It's very evident to me. I don't know if it's evident to you, but it's quite clear. Pregnancy is something to be struggled in and against. She dreams of a post-parent world, one in which the old notion of the family is replaced with a classless commune on the basis of the best available care for all. She might well get it, unless the current fever breaks. I used to think all kids are bad, and I had a period in middle school, where I was ultra liberal and I thought everyone should stop having kids. Well, yes, we should value the opinion of middle schoolers, which are between the ages of, I believe, 13 and 15. Says 19-year-old Sophia in British Columbia. I chalk it up to emotional immaturity. Yes. I'm just going to highlight this, and then I'm going to highlight this. As I got older, I realized that there was more to this, and I didn't have to be super uptight in my beliefs. It's good to be open-minded, I suppose. I ask what she hopes her childless life will look like. What country will she visit? Where will she live? What will she do with all of her free time? And what does she hope her career will be? It's kind of hard to ask someone who is 19 and hasn't finished college what they want their life to look like. She tells me, a little annoyed.